I still remember the exact moment it hit me. I was standing in front of the bathroom mirror, razor in hand, staring at the tangled mess of hair I'd always considered normal. It wasn't just the hair, yes, the body hair was thick and stubborn, but it was also me. My reflection felt wrong, constricted, like a costume I'd been forced to wear every single day. And yet I couldn't stop staring. There was something about the idea, the pure thought of being smooth, soft, feminine. My heart was pounding, and a thrill I hadn't felt in years shot through me. I hesitated, razor hovering, fingers trembling. What if I ruin everything? I whispered to my reflection. The voice sounded strange, softer, almost feminine, and it made my stomach twist. But there was curiosity, sharp and insistent, clawing at my hesitation. I wanted it. I needed it. So, with a deep, shuddering breath, I started shaving. The first stroke sent a shiver through my body. The skin was raw, tingling and suddenly alive. Each swipe of the razor against my arms, my legs, my chest was like uncovering a secret I'd buried for years. There was a strange, guilty thrill in it, the fear of someone walking in, the shame, the adrenaline. But as the hair fell away, revealing soft, smooth skin, something inside me stirred. It wasn't just about appearance. It was liberation, exploration, a secret thrill that seemed too intimate to even whisper aloud. By the time I finished, I barely recognized myself. My body felt lighter, more delicate, and somehow more mine. My reflection looked different, softer, vulnerable in a way I'd never let anyone see. I touched my skin and felt an electric excitement, a little guilty, a little nervous, and completely alive. The next few days were surreal. Even wearing the same clothes felt different. T-shirts hugged my now smooth arms in a way I hadn't noticed before. My legs glided against the fabric of my pants differently, softer somehow. Every movement reminded me of the change I'd made, and the thrill of my secret gnawed at me constantly. At work, I felt hyper-aware. Sitting at my desk, I caught myself brushing my smooth arms unconsciously, wondering if anyone would notice. My coworkers' laughter, their idle conversations, all seemed magnified through this new lens of heightened sensitivity. I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd done, about the night I spent exploring my own skin, letting my imagination run wild with possibilities. Even small moments became charged. Walking down the hall, I imagined how it would feel if someone brushed past me, if my legs grazed against theirs in my new, softer skin. I felt embarrassed, and yet it was intoxicating. It was like discovering a secret doorway to a version of myself I'd never dared to meet. One evening, my roommate caught me applying lotion to my arms. Her eyes widened and I panicked. "Ah, it's dry skin," I muttered, trying to play it cool. But she didn't push. She just gave me a knowing smile, the kind that made me simultaneously nervous and comforted. I realized then that even small gestures, like being observed in this vulnerable state, carried a mix of shame, excitement, and thrill that I couldn't resist. Nighttime became my sanctuary. Locked in my room, I experimented. I tried on tights, soft skirts, and even borrowed my roommate's makeup. My hands shook as I brushed foundation over my cheeks, mascara along my lashes, feeling the transformation deepen with every stroke. There was a strange magic in the mirror now, not just my reflection, but the potential it represented. I whispered to myself in the quiet, "Is this really me? Or is it who I've always wanted to be?" The words made me dizzy with longing. I started changing how I moved, softening my gestures, adjusting the way I walked, how I held my hands. Every detail mattered. The voice, the posture, the sway of my hips. It was like learning a language I'd always known but never spoken. Sometimes I would catch glimpses of myself in the hallway mirror or the reflection of shop window, and my heart would leap. Was that me? Could I really look like this, like someone else, yet entirely myself? The thrill was addictive, like standing on the edge of something terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. Weekends became my playground. I ventured out, first to small, crowded places where anonymity was my shield. Coffee shops, parks, quiet streets. I tested my voice, my stride, the confidence I didn't yet fully possess. Strangers' reactions were subtle but noticeable. A double take, a smile, a lingering glance. Each response sent shivers down my spine. I even went to a small gathering of friends, disguised in my new persona. My heart pounded in my chest with every introduction. "Hi, I'm well," I stumbled, voice higher than usual, cheeks burning. But no one laughed. No one judged. They just accepted me in that moment, as if I belonged there naturally. And for the first time, I felt a sense of rightness, a strange alignment between how I felt inside and how I appeared outside. Every outing, every experiment built my courage. I started walking taller, smiling more, letting my presence be noticed. And yet, there was always the underlying tension, the fear of being discovered, of someone recognizing the old me. The risk was intoxicating, a constant drumbeat pushing me forward, forcing me to confront and embrace who I was becoming. Then came the confrontation. It was subtle at first, a colleague making a comment about my appearance, my roommate teasing me in front of someone else. But I could feel it, the tension, the unspoken judgment, the threat of exposure. I panicked at first, my heart hammering, sweat prickling my skin. I wanted to run, hide, erase everything I'd done. But then I paused. I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked. This version of me, soft, feminine, smooth, confident, she was real. She was me, and hiding her, pretending to be someone else, felt impossible now. I swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and stepped forward. "Yeah," I said, voice trembling but firm. "That's me, and I like it." The silence that followed was deafening, but then something shifted. Eyes softened, nods came, and laughter, kind, supportive laughter, broke through. I realized that this confrontation, the fear I'd built up, was actually the doorway to acceptance. And accepting myself felt like the most liberating thing I'd ever done. From that day on, life didn't get easier, but it got brighter. My new identity wasn't just a secret thrill anymore. It was a part of my daily life. I explored makeup more boldly, dressed in ways that expressed me fully, and learned to navigate the world as someone I had been afraid to be. Friends and colleagues adjusted, some curious, some supportive, some distant. But I no longer sought their approval. My confidence, once shaky and secretive, grew with each passing day. I moved with elegance, laughed freely, and allowed myself the vulnerability of being seen completely. Even intimate moments changed. Touch, gestures, compliments, all felt deeper, more electric, because I was finally inhabiting the body and persona that felt like home. It was scary, yes, and messy sometimes, but also exhilarating in ways I could never have predicted. Looking back, shaving everything was just the beginning. It wasn't about the hair. It was about peeling away layers of fear, shame, and expectation. It was about discovering a self I'd ignored, a self that craved attention, softness, beauty, and freedom. Every smooth arm, every silky leg, every careful brush of lipstick wasn't just cosmetic. It was an affirmation, a celebration of authenticity. Now, I move through the world unapologetically. I laugh louder, dress brighter, and own the gaze that comes my way. I know who I am, and it's a mix of strength and softness, boldness and delicacy. I've learned that transformation isn't just physical. It's emotional, psychological, and deeply liberating. To anyone watching who's hiding, who's curious, who's afraid, know this. The first step is terrifying, yes, but it's also exhilarating. Your reflection doesn't define you. It's your courage, your curiosity, your willingness to explore that shapes who you are. And sometimes shaving everything, letting go of fear, and embracing the unknown is exactly what you need to find yourself. I still catch myself in mirrors, running my fingers over soft skin, brushing a strand of hair from my face, and feeling the same thrill I felt that very first night. But now it's tempered with pride, acceptance, and joy. I'm no longer hiding, no longer afraid, and every day I'm becoming more me, more real, more alive, more free. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time I got dressed for work, I felt the smoothness of my freshly shaved skin beneath my clothes, reminding me constantly that I was different. Not in a scary way, but in a way that made my heart race with anticipation. My normal routine became a minefield of tiny thrills and fears. Sitting at my desk, I'd catch myself running my hands along my arms absent-mindedly. Do I look different? I'd wonder. Even the simple act of adjusting my sleeves felt loaded with significance, as though each movement whispered secrets about who I was becoming. My coworkers didn't notice, or maybe they did, and no one said anything, but every glance or sideways look made me hyper-aware of my body, my choices, and the thrill of hiding something so intimate. One afternoon, my best friend leaned over while I was typing, and I felt a jolt of panic. "You're distracted today." "Everything okay?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. My face flushed, and I forced a laugh. "Yeah, just tired," I muttered. But inside, my mind was screaming. Could she tell? Could anyone tell? And more importantly, did I even want them to? That night, I locked myself in my room and experimented again. This time, I borrowed some tights and a skirt from my roommate. My hands shook as I pulled them on. The sensation was electric, cool fabric sliding over my smooth legs, the way the skirt swayed as I moved. I looked in the mirror and almost didn't recognize the person staring back. My reflection smiled back at me, softer, more delicate, and utterly captivating. I started playing with makeup, too. A little foundation, mascara, and lip gloss. Each application felt like painting a new version of myself, one that was secret, thrilling, and entirely mine. I whispered to the mirror, "Is this who I've always wanted to be?" The words sounded strange coming out of my mouth, yet they resonated deep inside. It was both exciting and terrifying. Some nights, I would just sit there, running my fingers over my newly smooth arms and legs, imagining stepping outside as her. How would people react? Would they laugh, stare, or, heaven forbid, call me out? But the fear was part of the thrill. It pushed me, made me bolder, made me more curious about this hidden version of myself. Eventually, I started testing the waters in public. First, it was small. A coffee shop, a quick trip to the corner store, always with my hood up, makeup light. My heart would race with every glance, every whisper from strangers. But each small success, someone complimenting my outfit, a smile exchanged, built my confidence in ways I never expected. I felt alive, vibrant, seen, in a way I'd never experienced before. The weekend came, and I decided to push further. I went out in full makeup, a fitted dress, and tights. My heart pounded as I walked down the street. Every step felt like a test, every passerby a judgment I had to survive. And yet something amazing happened. People smiled, nodded politely, and most didn't even look twice. It was surreal. The world accepted me, or at least didn't reject me, and the freedom I felt was intoxicating. Still, the tension never fully went away. At work, subtle comments made me anxious. "You look different today," someone said one morning. My stomach flipped. Was it curiosity, judgment, admiration? I didn't know, but I did know one thing. I couldn't hide this part of me anymore. The secret was becoming too big, too vital, too essential to who I was becoming. Then came the moment that made my heart stop. My roommate, who had always been my safe confidant, casually mentioned my new look in front of her friends. I froze. Panic surged, my hands clenching into fists. Would they laugh? Judge? Reject me? But before I could retreat, I caught myself in the mirror again. This person, this softer, feminine, electric version of me, was real, and hiding her felt impossible. I took a deep breath, tried to steady my voice, and said, "Yeah, I've been exploring something new, and I like it." The silence was unbearable for a few seconds. Then, unexpectedly, came the smiles, the nods, the quiet acceptance. Relief washed over me, mingled with an unexpected surge of pride. This was who I was, and finally I was letting the world see her.